Along the turquoise coast of modern-day Turkey, the island of Kekova holds a haunting mirror to the past. Here, the line between land and sea is violently blurred. Carved staircases descend from the rocky shore and lead directly into the shimmering blue, stopping abruptly in the void. Foundations of homes and ancient harbor walls lie just beneath the surface, a ghostly blueprint visible from above. This is not the gentle work of erosion or the slow rise of the tides. This is the scar of a sudden tectonic trauma, a cataclysm that fractured the very bedrock of a civilization, tilting it into the Mediterranean. What happened here? What geological force possessed the power to shatter an entire city? Now, let us open the case file and begin the investigation. To understand the ruin, we must first reconstruct the world that was lost. The submerged city off Kekova Island was not an isolated outpost. It was a vital part of the ancient land of Lycia. The Lycians were a fiercely independent people, renowned in the ancient world for their unique culture, their distinct language, and a remarkable political experiment, the Lycian League. This federation of city-states, praised by philosophers like Montesquieu, was a pioneering example of representative democracy, where cities large and small had a voice. This port, along with its neighbors Simena, now the picturesque Kalikoi, and Tamiusa, was a crucial maritime link in that league. Its location was a strategic masterpiece. Sheltered by the island of Kekova, it formed a perfect natural harbor, a safe haven for merchant vessels navigating the often treacherous waters between Rhodes, Cyprus, and the Near East. Let us close our eyes and visualize this city in its prime, perhaps in the 2nd century AD, under the relative peace of Roman influence. The air is sharp with the scent of salt water, cedar wood from the nearby Taurus Mountains, and the thyme that blankets the hillsides. Stone-paved streets and narrow staircases, like the ones we now see disappearing into the sea, cut sharp, geometric patterns into the rocky slope. Houses, built of local limestone, rise in terraces, their occupants living in intimate connection with the water below. This was not a monumental city like Rome or Ephesus, but a pragmatic and prosperous one. Its lifeblood was the sea. The harbor would have been bustling. We can imagine the docks, now deep underwater, lined with ships. Their holds are filled with valuable Lycian timber, amphorae brimming with olive oil and wine, and perhaps the prized murex, the sea snail that produced the coveted Tyrian purple dye. This port was a gateway, connecting the rugged Lycian interior to the sprawling economy of the Mediterranean. The Lycians had a unique relationship with stone and with death. We see the evidence of this today, scattered across the landscape. Ornate sarcophagi, some shaped like inverted boats, stand sentinel along the shore, as if waiting for a final journey. High on the cliffs of Simena, overlooking the submerged ruins, are the famous Lycian rock-cut tombs, carved directly into the sheer face of the mountain. These houses of eternity were built to last forever. This deep-seated belief in permanence, this mastery of stone, makes the city's fate all the more ironic. The people here built their lives on the rock, believing it to be the most stable foundation possible. They carved their homes, their cisterns, and their final resting places from the very bones of the earth. But this land where the African and Eurasian tectonic plates meet, is geologically volatile. The very foundation they trusted, the bedrock of their civilization, was resting on an active fault line. This prosperous, vibrant maritime community, so attuned to the sea, was completely unaware that their greatest threat would come not the water, but from the earth itself. Their entire world was about to be violently and permanently tilted. The investigation begins not with a map, but with a descent. As we move from the bright glare of the sun into the silent liquid world just meters below, the full scale of the evidence presents itself. We are not just explorers. We are forensic investigators at a scene frozen in time. The most compelling piece of evidence is also the most iconic: the staircases. We can trace their path from the dry, time-covered island, step by step, until they vanish into the blue. These are not ornamental steps to the sea. They are functional, domestic, and commercial structures, carved from the bedrock, designed to connect upper streets to lower courtyards, or homes to the waterfront. Their clean descent, their unerring angle, proves this is not a case of slow, gradual sea level rise. A rising sea would meet the steps at a horizontal plane. Here, the steps themselves have moved downward, maintaining their original relationship to the foundations they served. The entire landmass has been tilted, as if a giant hand pushed the coastal edge of the island down into the water. When we analyze the submerged structures, this tilt hypothesis becomes a certainty. Using simple photogrammetry, stitching together thousands of high-resolution photographs, we can create a 3D model of the seabed. What we see is not a random scattering of debris. It is a coherent urban plan. We can trace the right angles of building foundations, the outlines of rooms, and the pathway of what was once a seaside promenade. But they are all tilted at a distinct angle, sloping away from the island and down into the deeper water. This is a geological signature. It speaks of a sudden, violent subsidence. Scattered among these foundations, maritime archaeologists have identified the remnants of daily life. The most common finds are fragments of amphorae. These clay jars were the shipping containers of the ancient world. Their shapes and styles are like barcodes, allowing us to date them. The pottery found here is overwhelmingly Roman, consistent with the 1st and 2nd centuries AD, confirming the period of the city's greatest prosperity. We also find the stone bases of olive presses, indicating the local industry, now submerged and silent. This evidence is archaeological, but the culprit is geological. To understand the weapon, we must look at the larger map. The island of Kekova is located in one of the most seismically active regions on the planet. It sits precariously near a major boundary where the African tectonic plate is grinding north, diving beneath the Eurasian and Anatolian plates. This is a subduction zone, a place of immense geological stress. This stress is not released gently. It builds for centuries until it erupts in the form of massive earthquakes. The specific tilt we observe at Kekova points to a very specific type of event. This was not a distant quake whose shockwaves merely toppled buildings. The evidence suggests the earthquake's epicenter was terrifyingly close. The level moderate fault line itself may run directly through or adjacent to the Kekova region. When it ruptured, it did not just shake the ground, it physically displaced it. The bedrock on which the city was built fractured, and the seaward side of that fracture dropped. This is known as tectonic subsidence. The sea, which had been a source of life and commerce, instantly became an invader, rushing in to fill the new, lower elevation. We now have the what? A catastrophic earthquake causing localized subsidence. But our investigation demands the when. The Roman-era artifacts provide a time frame, but history provides the specific event. We must turn to the written record. Ancient writers, including the 2nd century orator Aelius Aristides, speak of a devastating earthquake that struck Lycia during the reign of Emperor Antoninus Pius. Historical analysis and inscriptions have dated this event with remarkable precision. Between 141 and 142 AD, this earthquake was so powerful it leveled cities across the region, including Patara and the great city of Myra, home of the future St. Hor's Pont Nicholas. This is the linchpin of our case. The archaeological evidence from Kekova, a prosperous city in the early 2nd century, aligns perfectly with the historical record of a massive regional cataclysm in 141 AD. We can now reconstruct the city's final moments. It was a normal day. The harbor was busy. Then, without warning, the earth roared. The shaking was so violent it fractured the very stone of the island. In a matter of minutes, the entire coastal section of the city, including its docks, waterfront homes, and storage buildings, lurched downward and was inundated. The event was so sudden, so total, that the city was not rebuilt. It was simply abandoned. What we see today is not a lost city of myth. It is the immediate, preserved aftermath of a known, dated, and terrifyingly real natural disaster. The case file on Kekova can now be closed. The evidence is clear, coherent, and conclusive. This is not a city of myth, nor was it a victim of a slow, creeping sea. The investigation reveals that the city's destruction was the direct result of a single, catastrophic tectonic event, the massive earthquake that devastated the Lycian region in 141 or 142 AD. When we synthesize the data, the narrative of that day becomes undeniable. The geological analysis confirms a localized subsidence, a violent downward tilting of the land. The archaeological evidence, from the submerged staircases to the 3D mapped foundations, provides a perfect snapshot of an urban environment fractured and drowned in place. The Roman-era artifacts date this snapshot, placing the city's occupation squarely in the period leading up to the disaster. Finally, the historical record provides the exact named culprit, a known cataclysm that perfectly matches the evidence on the seabed. Unlike so many other submerged sites, which are often deep, silt-covered, and accessible only to sonar and specialized submersibles, Kekova's story is defined by its striking visibility. It is a unique monument to geological violence. The ruins are not truly lost. They are merely held in suspension, just beneath the surface. This accessibility is what makes Kekova so poignant. One can float directly over a submerged home, tracing its walls, and then look up, see the Lycian tombs on the hill, which survived the quake. Looking back, it is a place of profound duality. It is an archaeological site, yet it is also a grave. It is a stunningly beautiful tourist destination, yet it is a memorial to an ancient trauma. The water, so clear and inviting, acts as a permanent lens. forever magnifying the moment of the city's fall. The people who survived, those who fled to the higher ground, would have looked down upon this exact same scene. Their streets, their homes, and their harbor, all swallowed by the sea that had once been their livelihood. Kekova's legacy, then, is that of an open wound, a visible scar on the face of the earth. It serves as a stark physical reminder that the foundations we build our lives upon, whether of stone or of certainty, are never as permanent as we believe. It forces us to confront the immense, impersonal power of the planet itself and the fragility of the human endeavor in the face of deep time. The clear, silent water that now floods these homes holds a perfect, fractured memory. It reminds us that our greatest cities and proudest works are but temporary marks upon a living, moving, and indifferent earth, and that the line between the world we know and the abyss can be redrawn in an instant.